actually measures this change? So the answer is through data. The changes that occur in our climate, the measures the changes through data sets. So every day, satellites, weather station, and environmental sensor or sensor generate massive amounts of climate data. So the real power actually is not in collecting this data, but rather in analyzing to discover pattern and maybe to predict risk and make a smarter decision. So you as a data analyst, this is your work. So all this data that's been collected through satellite, sensor, and what have you. So it is your responsibility to look into this data and discover, a pattern that a layman cannot easily see. So now, before we talk about, how you can go about discovering pattern in data. So what is data analytics itself? What is data analytics itself? So data analytics is a process of collecting data, cleaning, analyzing, and visualizing data to discover useful insights and support decision making. So, in a basic form, that is what a data analytics is all about. We all start the work by, giving a problem statement. So, like we all do in the statistics and other science or departments. So now we start by, we start by stating the problem that, okay, now these are things that we want to look into. So then after that, based on the problem statement you've stated, then go ahead to collect data. Me as a data analyst, I may want to improve like a sales of a product, and you as a data analyst may want to, see the effect of newly produced drug on the people. So that's our problem statement, right? So now the kind of data that we are going to gather will be quite different from each other. So what I'm trying to say in essence is after your problem statement, you will gather the data related to the problem you've stated. Then after gathering the data, then you start cleaning the data before you, analyze the data and start putting your finding in form of picture so that people can easily understand and make decision based on what you've presented to them. So now, why does data analytics matter in climate change? So climate analysts use data to monitor raise in temperature. So and as well, they predict flooding through data you've gathered. You can predict flooding, analyze rainfall or trends, and as well track carbon emissions, support environmental policy, and improve our disaster, operations. So these are the point why data analytics matter. And all these things that you're seeing, they do it through data. So I think that's a bit introduction. All these things that we all know. So let's see a real, world climate investigation. You as a data analyst, how do you go about, discovering pattern through data that you gather? And our case study will be popular, of states in the country, which is Lagos. So now Lagos has experienced increasing heat, heavier rainfall, and more frequent flooding over the past few years. But how do environmental analysts prove this with data instead of opinion? So today we are going to be looking into that. We are going to be looking into how we can prove that. Okay, we all know how the weather is, quite well these days. But then, how can we be able to prove this through data, instead of opinion or instincts? So just like I told you earlier on, these are the major 5 steps that doesn't matter the kind of problem statement you're dealing with or the kind of problem you're trying to solve. So these are the major five steps that you need to follow. Please, that should be 6. So yes, or the first one, let me just put 0, please, so that on. So the first one is problem statement. So you have to start from there. Problem statement. So we have to start from there before you start collecting the data, before and before every other thing is coming. So these are the six major steps that you need to watch. You will always carry out whenever you are working as a data analyst, be it you are in the climate domain, finance domain, health domain. No matter domain you find yourself as a data analyst, we have what we call a data analyst. That's a general word. So then it now depends on the domain that you find yourself. So if you find yourself under climate, then you become a climate engineer, a climate or analyst. So if you are working on in sports domain, then you become a sports analyst, and so on and so forth, like that. And these are the 6 steps that you have to carry out, no matter the domain you find yourself, and the problem you're trying to solve. So the first thing is to state your problem statement, then you collect the data, you clean the data, then you analyze the pattern, then you visualize the finding using chart and or dashboard, then you transform the insight into actionable decision for governments, businesses, and the community or the stakeholder you're working with. Now, in order to carry out all these steps, you will need tools. As a data analyst, there's a lot of tools out there that you can choose to use. So there's no, a good one, there's no a better one, depending on the data you are working on. But for today, we are going to be using Python as our tools. We're going to be using Python as our tools. So now the same data analyst can decide to use Power BI or can decide to use SQL to achieve the same thing that we are trying to achieve. So the tools, majority of time, I do tell my students, the tool is not the most important thing, but rather your ability to stay with data and see what other people are not seeing. And in data analysis, we call that data intuition. So that is what really important in this field. So today we are going to be using Python as our tools, right? So now, and just like you say, we stated our problem statement. So we want to look into the weather change in the Lagos state. Now, we've stated our problem. The next thing is to get our data. So now, class, today we are going to be using the live data. There's a popular website called NASA Power. Maybe we all know about that, we all know about that website. Please let me just navigate to that website, because that is where we're going to be getting our data from. Okay. Okay, so now this website, so they use a lot of modern technology to gather their data, right? So depends on the kind of data that you want to get. So it depends on the kind of data that you want to get. So now there are 2 ways by which you can get data from this place. So either you go through their websites, and as well they provide an API, and that is what we're going to be using today since we are a professional. So now if you go through their websites, so you can just click on that, then you just fill in some some information, then you get the data that you want to get. But today we are going to be using their API. So now they provide an API for us. An API is just like a middle, or a middleman that allow me to communicate, me as a software developer, to allow me to communicate, between it, enable communication between me and the website, this website I just showed you now. So what I want to do there is I want to get the data, I want to get the data from that website related to Lagos weathers and so on and so forth, like that. So now I'll be using their API. So now they're giving me this API. This is what I'm going to be setting up, right? So to get data from that. So now, please, before I explain all this, the first things I want us to talk about is all these packages. So in Python, after you must have learned all the elementary Python, the variables, class, and what have you. So there are some packages that you need to know. So, those ones are things that make your work easier. So today we are going to be using just 3 of them. So we are going to be using 3 of them. The first package that we're going to be using is called request. And the purpose of this is to be able to, get something from the website. For every website, there's what we call an HTML. So if you want to get, those are the text on the website. So if you come back here, so everything that you see here, every text that you see here, they are the structures of that website. So we call it HTML. So if you want to get all these things directly into your working environment instead of coming here to copy and paste, so now there's a popular package in Python that can allow you to send a request to any website, and you can get any text, video, images that you want to get from that website. So that is the use of this request. So we also have what we call pandas. That's another package. So this pandas majorly is used for data cleaning and manipulation. So maybe you have your data and you want to clean it, so you can use that. So, and one important package again that we are going to be using today is called matplotlib. So majorly this one is used for visualization. So after you're done discovering pattern on your data set, so you might want to, put those finding in form of a picture so that a layman and all the stakeholder can easily see what is going on. So please, class, don't worry about all this. This might look like a magic for now, but I promise you, the next 3-4 years to this time, all these things will start making sense to you. All right, so that's the first thing that we need to do. Then after that, I've explained what this NASAPA does for us. Please, can I just make a further research about that as well? So now we get the URL address, combined with their API, address as well. Then this is a parameter that we need to fill. So this thing is just the same thing as you are going into their website and they ask you to fill some information, right? So that's what we are trying to fill here. Just forget about all this thing and let us focus on this 4 parameter. So now, on this 4th parameter, the first things that you need to fill is a longitude and a latitude. So, and of course, we all know what longitude and the latitude is all about. So since we are focusing on the Lagos state, so that's the longitude and the latitude of the Lagos state. So the number of these things, you make a research and you see them online. And as well, the start and the end date. So now, you want to get the data from the website. So you need to indicate the start date and the end date. And of course, the format by which you want to get the data. So for every API that you're using, so there will always be something like this. There will always be something like this. So then after you're done setting up your URL, then the parameter, just think of it like you are filling, form online. So this parameter, think of it like you're filling form online, so manually, but today we are doing it automatically. Then these are things that we need to give to our request, and the request will go directly into that website and do all these things for us. And of course, that is what we are trying to do here. So request, I told you, remember, I've imported like this. So I want to make it, these are point of calling it, and this is a point of using it, right? So then it's a request. Sorry, okay. So request.get. So what I'm trying to look at the request, go to this website I'm about to give you, then get these information that I'm giving you, which is the URL, the API, and the settings, that I've, put together. Plus, don't worry about this thing much. It will look like, a magic for now, but just let's focus on the end result. So now, if I should just run this, let's run this and see, then I'll get the response. Then the response, I save it on the data, then I started extracting what I actually need. So let's just wait for it. So you can see that it's loading. So this asterisk means that we can have run this cell and it's waiting to get the information from that website. So you can see that what the information has been, what we'll be able to get the information. So this is a very long data set. So I'm just printing the first 5 so that I can easily see what it's saying. So we have about 1 1,827 rows of data. So we get the data from 2020 all the way to 2024. So these are the daily record for temperature and rainfall for state of Lagos from 2020 to 2024. So, and here you can, as you can see, we have the dates. So we have the, the temperature, and we have the, what's it called, the rainfall. So now, okay, don't let me go into that details. Well, all these ones we are going to be learning in a proper class. So that after that, you notice that if you look at the temperature, the rainfall, we have series of numbers, and here is a dictionary to read meaning to those numbers. So any number that you see that is below 20 or degrees Celsius, that's a cold weather, as we are feeling now, right? So any weather, any number that you see between this range, that's a cool weather. So that's for the temperature. So this is dictionary for the rainfalls as well. So any number within this range, of course, that's a light rain and so on and so forth. So you can find a number here, and this is a dictionary that will interpret what that number means for you. All right, class. So then after that, you notice that this data is clean, but we are having issues on the dates. So we check very well. These are normal. This is not a normal date that we can easily work with. So we need to use a pandas to convert this to proper dates. So we need to use a pandas to convert it to a proper date, and that is what I've done here. So you can see that I'm creating. So that these things that you're seeing, class, we call this a data frame. It's just like a table. Maybe some of us must have worked with Excel, Microsoft Excel before, worked with a table. So you can see that our table is two-dimensional arrays that are made up of a table and rows. So, but in Python, we call it data frame. So we are calling it a table for now. I'm still okay with that. So on that table, I'm about to create a new column. So on that column, I want to reformat my date so that it can be in a proper date. So that's what I'm trying to do here. And after converting it to dates, then I can just go ahead to extract some hierarchies of dates, such as year. So you see here, I'm trying to create another column to create a year. And these are what's the approach to do that. And yes, again, I'm creating a month, and this approach to do that. And there again, I want to create weeks, days of the week. And that's what I'm doing there. So after that, so if I rerun this now, so you can see that I'm now having more extra column compared to these first data frames I'm having. So at the end of the day, you can see that I'm now having the year being extracted. You can see that the date has been formatted, in normal date that we all know, right? So you can see the dates, the years has been extracted, the month has been extracted, the days of the week has been extracted as well. So with this now, you've cleaned the data, this aspect of cleaning the data. So you transform the date from the object data type to date time. Then you started extracting the hierarchies of the date. So with this now, there are lots of patterns that you can discover from here. There are a lot of patterns that you can discover from here. But when looking at this data, it's useless on its own, right? Until you give a meaning to it. And for a layman, it's too ambiguous. If I just ask you directly, okay, now, can you tell me the month that rain fall most in Lagos State? Looking at this table, it will be quite hard for you to tell, right? And that is what we want to do now. That is your work as a data analyst. What seem ambiguous for a layman to see on the data, we want to present it so that they can easily see what is going on. And that is the next things I want to do. So class, to recap, we state our problem. Then after that, we get the data related to the problem that we stated. Then after that, we clean the data. Please, class, this cleaning that we just did here is just the simplest form of cleaning that you can go through. Most of our work depends on cleaning, and we spend a lot of time in cleaning, but we don't want to waste our time today. In the class, we're going to be seeing a proper way to deal with data and to clean them. So now, class, this data is clean enough and it's ready for analysis, and that's the next thing that you want to do. So now the first things I want us to look into is the Lagos average yearly temperature trend. So, and at the end of the day, we are going to be understanding temperature trend, which is important for climate monitoring, environmental awareness, urban planning, and what have you. So now, class, here, in order to do that, we are going to be comparing two columns. Let me, before I go further to do this, you see this data analytics is just like, I can just say to you that is a modern statistics. In statistics, majorly what we do is analyze data. So now, in data analysis, there are two types of analysis that you can do. It's either you are performing a descriptive analysis or inferential analysis. Those are study statistics, must have understand what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to say. So descriptive analysis allow us to look back into history and see what has happened. That is what descriptive analysis is all about. So now we look back into history to study what has happened, and with that we can predict what will happen in the future, which is what inferential statistics. So that is what we want to do today. So we want to perform what we call descriptive analysis. And the first things I want us to look into is comparing this, temperature with yearly trends, so that we can see how these temperatures are changing. Is there a notable change over since we started, and so on and so forth like that. And that is what I want us to do. Yes, again, we are using Python. So we group by year. I have about 4 years here, right? From 2020 all the way to 2024. So then I group by the year, and I find the mean of temperature by that year. So at the end of the day, instead of having series of distributions of number across the same year, this mean we help us to to summarize everything into a single number. So at the end of the day, we're going to be having a single number for a certain year, right? So that's what I'm trying to do here. So please let me just before I visualize it, let me show you what is going on here. Surely. So now if I go ahead now to print this, so we can all see. So before now, what we're having is distributions of temperature across 2020. So now here, I'm now coming here to group by year and find the mean of the temperature. So at the end of it, you can see that what for 2020, the yearly temperature for that year is about 26. And if you go back to our dictionary, so you can see that for that year, so we are within warm weather, right? So averagely, average is not that through that year the weather will be the weather will be warm, but if I ask you to summarize the weather for that particular year, this is the number that we are going to be give them. But you know that there will be variance, right? Okay. So that is that about that. But now you see that, okay, we've discovered a pattern, right? So this is making sense. This makes a lot of sense when you want to compare it with this number, right? So with a glance, you can tell what happened in 2020. With a glance, we can tell what happened in 2021, and so on and so forth. But this is just like an half work. So you need to put this in form of a picture or a chart that a layman can easily see. And that is what we are trying to do here. So that popular library that package that I told you about, which is our Matplotlib. So I just set up the size of the chart. Then I just go ahead to plot it. So I'm using a line chart. Then I set up the title, the X and the Y label. Then I decided to add a grid line to it. And for every chart you are plotting using a Matplot, you need to close it with this dot show. And at the end of the day, we plot our chart. You can easily see what has happened. So, is it class? From this point, that's our original data. We transform it to this point, the summary. And at the end of the day, we're able to put it in form of a picture like this. And even without telling you what is going on, you can easily read meanings to this, right? So you can see that Started from 2020, we have what a low weather. So there's a peak around that 2025 to 2020 to 2021, and there's a drop again when on 2021, and the major peak then occur in 2023 all the way to 2024, right? So as you can see that. So, and that's just what the summary out of that column. And here is, the write-up illustrating what we have on that chart, right? What we have on that chart. So this is just a write-up. What this chart is showing us is a climate story of Lagos over the last few years. So in 2020, the average temperature was this, and so on and so forth like that. Don't let me bore us. And why this matters, so this is very, very important. Afterwards, after you give all the summary, then you focus on the key insight. So the important insight is not the small yearly, fluctuation, but rather it's overall uptrend movements or the trend. So this suggests that Lagos is gradually experiencing warmer average temperature over time. So you can see, and you can see, you can even prove this. Over the year, the temperature is increasing, and we are experiencing it every day of our life. Then after that, this is why it matters. So with this now, the experts in other departments can use this your finding to create awareness, and to make better conclusion. Hmm? Right. So now, class, I believe I'm making sense, class. Are we all together? Hmm?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
we are.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Yes.
all right. Okay, okay. No, that's very good. So now, moving on, let's see how the rainfall is doing yearly. So let's see how the rainfall is doing yearly. Then we call it day. So now that's the first thing. We're able to see the temperature against yearly trends. So now let's see the rainfall against the monthly trend as well. So we see from our data sets, we're able to extract two information from that website. Class, you can extract more than this information, right? But this is just like introduction, right? So there's flooding. There's a lot of information on that website. So just go through the website, read their documentation, and any insights that interest you. So you can just get it and look into it. So now, again, I want us to look into rainfall over the monthly trends. So this is a problem statement, as you can see. So just like we did it before. Now, you see, our work is, let me just say that it's repetitive. Hmm? So, and that is why I always tell my students, please don't focus more on the coding. Just focus more on, you know, telling people what they didn't know and showing them what they didn't know. And that is your work as a data analyst. You see, all this code, you may forget it. And the beautiful thing is, if you go back online, you can easily get it. But what you cannot easily get is your ability to give you your data and be able to to bring out insight from it. And just like I told you, that thing is called data intuition. So that is the major skills. There are two skills that you need to master as this career is concerned. The mastering of the tools, Power BI, Excel, SQLs, and all sorts of things like that. There are many, but you can decide to be working with one. But the major skills that you need to master is data intuition. So the ability of you to see data and know what to do. And well, we are going to be discussing that in details in our normal class. So again, we want to look into the rainfall over the month. So again, we perform grouping using that month column, and again we are finding the mean of the what's it called of the what's it called? Please, I'm calling. Yes, I'm coming. Okay, so I just want to explain everything step by step so that it won't seem ambiguous. So now, what we're trying to do here is we're just trying to find a single number instead of having distributions of number of data across the month. So you can see here for the month of January, we have distribution of rainfall. So as you can see from the dictionary, you all know what all this number means, right? So instead of having these distributions of data for each of the year or each of the month, you only want to see for a certain month. And that's what we're trying to do here. So now we group again by the month, then we find the average of the rainfall for each of the months. And you can see the number. So you can read minutes to this, by checking the dictionaries again. For the month of April, this is what we have. For the month of August, and so on and so forth. So again, to make this thing seem very interesting, we put it in form of a chart. So, and well, this is also trend, but we can use a bar chart to do that. And that is what we're trying to do here. So now I sorted using the number we got here, then before going ahead to plot my chart. So you can see that this code, if you compare it with the former one, is quite, almost the same thing, right? So telling you that all these things are repetitive in nature. So if I just go ahead and run this, so we can easily see what is going. So you can see that in month of June, that is when we have the peak of rainfall, followed by September, followed by July, and we have list of the rainfall in month of what's it called? In month of January. So you can see this trend, and with our little experience, in forecast, because everybody can forecast weather. Like my mom thought that the rain started falling by April. I didn't know the weather has changes. These times I didn't know. So the rain started falling month of April, and the peak is always around this. I think this is when the rain is going, and I think July is always the peak of the rainfall. So with this now, with data, we can prove everything without depending on our instinct and all that. So after you're done, achieving something like this, so the next things you want to do is to put your summary in form of a text. That is, these are the things I'll find out, and these are the things that I want you to prepare into, and that is everything I've done here. So after the conclusion, then I focus on the key insights, which is what makes this analysis important is that it helps us to identify seasonal climate pattern. And these are the practical applications. So after finding out all these things, so you can present them to governments, emergency agency, farmers, and businesses. And based on your finding, they can carry out their own decision. So I think, and here is the conclusion. And so class, those are the two insights that I want us to look into. Well, our work is more than this, but as introduction, we are okay with this. We can see the practical way of of analyzing data and helping business to make easy decision. So your work is not just limited to climate change alone. Just think of any parastatal, any sector. Just is there any sector that doesn't generate data? Even those who are selling pepper in markets, they generate data. So you can find yourself working anywhere, just like I said, but our work still remain the same. So the only difference is the data you are working on, and you can see the what. This is a full pipeline of our work. So we get the data from a website, then we started analyzing the data, and at the end of the day, we are able to what? We're able to achieve something like this. And here is a career path. So as a climate analyst, so these are the set of people that you can work for. You can work for government, agriculture, insurance, energy, NGOs, and fintech. And to become a climate analyst, so these are the skills that you need to work. These are the the art skills that you need to what you need to master. So all these things you don't need them. So you can just decided to go with Python, SQL. Yeah, SQL is very, very important. As far as it's not even for data analysts alone, as far as tech is concerned. Hmm? So because anything that has to do with text, it has to do with data. Is it web development? Is it cybersecurity? Is it AI engineer? Anything tech is data. So, and when you are dealing with data, you need to provide a storage. So then, and the language to communicate with that storage. So as far as tech is concerned, these are tools that connect all the departments in tech, SQL. So then the Python and a bit of statistics. So for those of us that hate maths, don't be scared with this. So we are not going to be solving complex maths. Python is there for us to do that for us. All we need to do is just to master the syntax and all that. So then uh, this is uh, a work of a data analyst, and I believe we all enjoy the class. So now can I start taking questions if there's any questions I want to ask? So Oba, please, you can have the floor.
Thank you, Kazeem. Thank you so much. Thank you for breaking it down into very simple terms. Right now, we will be taking questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and then we're going to put you through. I think one very inciting observation, one thing I'm going to take away from this class is um, how gibberish or raw data can just look exciting with constant evaluation. So I saw you breaking down the steps and interpreting them, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing a chart that explains it in very, very, very simple terms. So amazing work you've done, Kazeem. Amazing work. I I would this call is recorded, so if you got lost at any point, we would share the recording. We would upload it on our YouTube channel, but as well, you have access to our contacts, info@stacstart.com. You can shoot us a question regarding any parts Kazim has mentioned that you do not understand, and then we'll reach out to you. So I think I'm seeing Sam. Are there any questions apart from Sam? All right, Sam, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Oba. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mr. Kazim. Yeah, it's a great presentation, and I'm so happy I'm hearing all of this. Okay, so for data analyst, right? There's always an expectation from a data analyst. I like the fact that you break down that tools are not the focus, basically. But from your presentation, it looks like the objective drives the need for a data analyst, right? So if you're working in a complex organization whereby data are numerous, right? And then data has just pushed out to you as a data analyst, right? Now, is it that you present your own objective to the organization as a data analyst, or you take the objective of the organization and you work with that to derive an insight? Because for me, from my point of view, as a finance analyst, I work with a lot of tools, and I noticed the fact that the demand for certain tools are essential. You mentioned Python. Well, and is it like from your experience, do we have to take those tools as secondary while you build data intuitions, right? Or is it that you master what the objectives of a client or the need of a client is to drive what you are going to be presenting as a data analyst? I think that's my question.
All right, thank you, Sam. Kazim, did you get that? Hi, Kazeem. Did you get that?
Sorry, I didn't know that I'm muted. So, Mr. Sam, I get your question
Okay.
right. So, for data analyst role or data analytics role, there are lots of markets, and depends on the kind of job you are applying for. So there will be, majorly as far as this country is concerned, majority of companies, startups, they use Microsoft Excel as their tools, right? So now, just like I said earlier on, data intuition is the most important thing. Is the most important thing. Now, it now depends on the organization you are working with and the amount of their data. So, the mother tools of all tools in this field is Microsoft Excel. That's the mother tools of all tools. Forget about Python, SQLs, and all things. Microsoft Excel is the mother of all tools. But there are limitations to what Microsoft Excel can do, especially when it comes to amount of data you want to load into it. So now, but it always comes down to going with what the stakeholders or this management wants. But based on my experience, the freelancings I've done, the companies I work with, most of them doesn't care about the tools that you use. They just want the end result. They just want an end result. So that is why I say that data intuition is very important. So we are working with big people, big companies. So that means you have to master your SQL and Python very well. So you are no longer talking about Microsoft Excel's and Power BI. So as well, if you want to use all these business intelligence tools, and we are working with a very big company, so then, for my opinion, then Power BI becomes a secondary. So most people prefer Tableau. Tableau can work with very large amounts of data set when you compare it when you compare with a Power BI, right? So to answer your question in a very simple way, tools is also very important. So, but just try to understand your stakeholder, your management, what they want. Majority of time, they want results. They don't want how you go about achieving the result. But if they say that okay, they want this, but majority of time, so you can't go beyond Python and SQL. So then Excel. So I believe I'll be able to answer your question, Mr. Sam.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So, Oba, please, you can have the floor. Or is there any other question, class?
Yes, Kazeem is still able to take questions. So if you have one, feel free to raise your hand and they will call you. But if you don't, I think Kazeem has done justice. So, okay, I'm seeing a chat.
If you don't have a question, I have a question for students.
Oh, interesting. All right, go ahead, Kazeem.
So can I call name, or I should just throw it to the floor so that people will take it?
Okay, which one do you want to do? Do you want to?
Okay, now
please,
can somebody tell me what data intuition is all about? Can somebody tell me what data intuition is all about? Can somebody tell me what data intuition is all about? I don't want to call Mr. Sam again. Mr. Noim, are you there? That's my Mr. Noim, are you there? Mr. Sheyi is smiling. Sheyi, why are you smiling? Mr. Noim, Mr. Olaide Noah, can somebody just tell us what data intuition is all about? Okay, somebody want to talk? Please use that.
Yeah,
okay, Mr. Shegun, just go ahead. Mr. Taro, please. Go ahead.
Shegun Okoyode.
Okay, Shegun Taiwo, and I'm seeing Ibrahim's as well. So yeah, you can all have the floor, please. Mr. Shegun, let's go with Mr. Shegun first.
Okay, so data intuition, in a nutshell, is being able to get insight from data, being able to explore data in such a way that it will answer some it will answer problem statements that you have from the onset when presented with the data. So being able to look beyond the numbers and see questions that can be answered from the data. I think that's what
All
I
right.
think.
Let's put our hands together for him. That's very good. Mr. Ibrahim, do you have any other suggestion, other opinions to that? Mr. Ibrahim? Okay. Mr. Ibrahim, Jamiu, Kayode. All right. So no, that's very correct, Mr. Taiwo. Thank you for the response. So Oba, please, you can have the floor now.
Right. Thank you. I was just replying Queen Consular in the comment section. She was asking where she can find this the recording of this class. Hi Queen. It's we posted on our YouTube channel. I would share in the comment section in a bit. I'll share the comment section in a bit. Okay, I'm seeing a hand up. Ibrahim, do you have a question? Okay, I'm guessing not. Hi, Ibrahim, do you have a question?
Mr. Ibrahim, please, you can unmute your mic. Maybe you are talking, we can't hear you. Okay, share the mic. Yeah, definitely we'll do that.
Okay, he sent a message. Yes. We'll share that. If you're not on the WhatsApp group for this webinar, please send an email to info@stacstart.com and we would get you into it and then share the materials with you. You can also follow our YouTube channel where this recording will be posted as well. Queen Consular, do you have another question?
No, I just want to say thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Ibrahim. Looking forward to meet you again.
Yeah. Sounds like you have plenty fans, Kazeem.
Yeah. Now more na clap for me now. Abi? I need to have
Yeah. You do deserve it.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you mind taking down your screen?
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So all right, so thank you all for joining the session. Thank you for staying through to the end. We want to let you all know that we're interested in your career growth as tech professional, tech enthusiasts. We want to make sure that you're making progress, and that is why we created Stacstart. We are currently offering a discount for data analysis. I'm trying to share my screen so that you see that ASAP. Okay, you can take a look at our website, www.stacstart.com. We're currently offering a discount, which would end by May 30th. The course is a 6-month course. The preparatory class are starting in 10 days. So we want to make sure that everyone is well prepared for the next cohorts. We're currently offering a 50% discount. And also, we have made it flexible enough for you to get started, learn something. We are almost halfway through the year. So I think it's a good time for everyone to, get inside, get logged into a tech skill. And that's why we created Stacstart, so that you can experience career growth. Not only, we don't just train you, right? We also mentor you all through your career, right? The goal is for us to make sure that you are well prepared for the challenges, the opportunities that come along your way in your tech career. So don't forget to follow us on our social media pages. We are at Stacstart at everywhere, STACSTART. So feel free to check it out. Follow our YouTube channel as well. I would share the link with everyone who registered for this course, for this webinar. I beg your pardon. So we're going to draw the curtain here. Please ensure that if you have questions, you can always reach out to us at info@stackstart.com, and we will answer you. So thank you everyone for joining this session. We have other sessions coming up. We're going to have a discussion soon with an alumni of us, of Stackstats, who got a job at ITEL Power Development, as he was once a product manager in, I think that was called 6 or so. And we're bringing him on to share his experience, to share how he has been able to overcome challenges in his tech career path. So thank you everyone for joining once again, and see you in the community. Take care, guys.
And you too. Bye bye.
Bye, Nkasala. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Kazeem. Take care of yourself. See you next time.
All right, Oba. Thank you.